So here I am, just like you, looking at this headline and thinking, why? What could possibly motivate this? Bandai Namco goes all in on DEI after learning about it from Western media. Quote, I realize that not being represented may nullify a person's existence, even to the point of discrimination. Okay? Now, to save you the headache of all of this, what this person is talking about, this is Okuma Miura. Murai, my bad. Okuma Mirai. And this is their quality assurance department head. And so this is what they had to say about this. Um, Mura cited an unspecified study from analytics firm NewZoo that found little over half of British and American respondents considered the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion to be generically important, though to what or to who the survey did not specify. Well, how about that? They just found some people out there and asked them, hey, do you care about diversity, equity, and inclusion? And they went, yeah, I'll get canceled if I say no. And they said, great, you answered correct. And they counted that down as an affirmation. That's great. And so Miura had this to say, Mura, rather, had this to say, quote, it is necessary to consider the most important factors in the content. Interestingly, Miura further noted that DEI was particularly important to Western players because according to the same NewZoo survey, NewZoo, just, tip top there. Not Rasmussen, this is NewZoo, though. Not Pew Research, not those guys. NewZoo, that's where it's at. They tend to project themselves onto a given video game character far more than their Eastern counterparts. Oh, I see. So people see themselves as Pac-Man and Sonic and Mario. No. No, those are the weirdos that responded to your NewZoo thing here. The people that have trouble differentiating between fiction and reality. See, I don't know about you, but I could sit down and I can play Metal Gear Revengeance 10 years later, 11 years later, and I can just be Raiden. I don't have to literally live Raiden's life. I identify more with the senator anyway. I think he's more fun, but that's just me, make America great again. It's so creepy when you hear that again coming out of a politician's mouth, right? That was weird. But anyway, Senator Armstrong, living up to the name, But see that I don't have to be Raiden. I can just enjoy the experience of his point of view, right? Same with Solid Snake, the Solid Snake series. The same with Big Boss. I'll get out of the Metal Gear references. When I play Sonic, or played Sonic, I'm not a blue hedgehog. I'm not trying to be a blue hedgehog. Surprise. I don't put the controller down and go eat some chili dogs and run around the block with a blue stream of light behind me. I don't do that. And believe it or not, when I read a Superman comic, I don't immediately jump on the roof and hop up on the roof and try to jump, but it depends, if Tom King or Bendis is writing it, and maybe then, maybe. But, what this imparts, though, what this is implying is that you, a Western gamer, when you are playing Halo, you believe you are Master Chief. You are so overcome with the game, so immersed that you see yourself as Master Chief, and thus when he takes off his helmet and he doesn't look like you, the immersion is broken. Well, for one, that's why you don't have him take his helmet off, and the other thing is no. These are what are known as power fantasies, okay? That's what these are known as is power fantasies. What your friends over in the West neglect to tell you, Miss Miura, is, I think I'm saying that right, Miura, is that power fantasy is not reality, okay? Men can recognize this, and in fact, we do. And I'll point out, Japan is the originator of cosplay, okay? So taking characters and dressing up, especially in public, as them, okay? This is where it originated. So please remember where you come from on this one. So when you say people believe they're the characters, your own backyard is where that concept got started. Now, Americans may say, like I did, that they identify with a character, but this is how we speak about it here. And I know people in the comments section are saying you don't really identify as Armstrong. No, I don't. I am not Senator Cider Armstrong. No, I did not attain an Ivy League school, and I am not 8 feet tall, muscle bound to the point that it rips my pants. That's not me whatsoever, as you can see. I am not I am not Senator Armstrong. But I identify with him because I appreciate the crusade that he's on. He's twisted, he's weird, and he's way over the top, super murderous. But when he gives that speech at the end of the game, man, it is hard not to feel the inner American in you, just like, yes! Pull it out at the root! You're absolutely right. It's hard not to feel passionate about that, And of course, Raiden has a perfect comeback, is that you've never known what it's like to be weak, you know? And again, I see both sides of the debate on that one, okay? Now, I bring that one up because it's memed a lot, and because, too, it has a lot of politics in it. So it's easy for people to get invested in the positions these characters take in the game. You can even find yourself identifying with the wolf, with the wolf character. Remember, the Blade Wolf, that's right, the Blade Wolf. His journey is about, setting himself free from the command of other people. But you're not going to go around believing that you're an AI-driven cybernetic walking blender, okay? That's not what you're going to think you are. You're a human being. And it depends. Did we talk to Tumblr about this when we got this information? But it gets so much worse. Let's go on and read more about the logic here. And so when Miura, as the quality assurance head, was made aware that there was a consumer, one of the players, that was not so much upset, but moreover curious why there weren't black hairstyles. So this would be, your flat tops, I guess. These would be the millennial Gen Z haircut that they're giving everybody, the Miles Morales haircut, dreads, the side fade, the wave up on top, these sorts of things. I would hope it's not an afro, but you don't know. It could be. It could be, but it could be. But so this is where it started. Okay, so it's because the game's lack of black hairstyles in the character creator. Okay. No, I just to back up. I didn't finish that thought. The afro thing. I just remember pools closed from Habbo Hotel, and I get a little, when it comes to giving people afros and the ability to put on black suits and a pool somewhere, okay? I kind of have like that PTSD flashback to Habbo Hotel and pools closed, There's more internet lore, guys. It's deep lore. Get out there and look for it. You'll find it way back in the early days of social media. The, oh man, the pool's closed. So after finding out that black hairstyles the lack of them are plaguing players around the world, this is what Miura had to say. I realized that's what diversity means. Not being represented not only means the demand for self-expression cannot be met, but it also means that we may not be able to imagine the identities of the many players. It's so terrible that you can't picture what every single video game player looks like. Darn, it's almost like having a one-size-fits-all is the way to go. Kind of like Mario and Luigi, one-size-fits-all. You're either red or green. Weird, right? Kind of like Sonic, one-size-fits-all. It's one of those things. When you pitch your character as having a direct tie to gender expression, sexuality, Bayonetta comes to mind, right? I don't think of Bayonetta as a DEI game. I don't think of Bayonetta as a woke game. There may have been installments after I tuned out after the first game. Again, I'm not a Bayonetta fan. I just appreciate parts of the game. Okay? Parts. And so I wonder now what they will do with a character like this, because she does not look like who the players are. Are they going to be giving her a beard, broad shoulders, and perhaps a wee bit of a belly? Perhaps a Red Bull addiction so that she looks like the people that she's being played by? No, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're just gonna make her gay. Yeah, they're just gonna make her gay. They're just gonna make her flamboyantly gay. That's what they're gonna do. That's DEI. Woo! Yeah, that's what's gonna happen here. So you might be wondering, how are they gonna how are they gonna implement this? Like they're surely, if they're so concerned with this, what are the things they're going to focus on? Well, and it's not a joke. All of this, Vieira said, was in service of her rolling out Bandai's new in-house DEI training program, which, according to her, consisted of 4 key pillars. Okay, so character hair. When I think of diversity, equity, and conclusion for most of these companies, could be for Bandai, inclusion, I think hairstyles. Right? What says you're welcome at the table here other than any kind of way you can cut your hair possible? That's what you need in a racing game, right? In a game where your character is going to spend 96% of the time inside the vehicle, maybe not even inside the vehicle, just the windows are blacked out, there's nothing in it, right? Just a bunch of polygons in there whipping around. So, it's vitally important that we have 400 different hairstyles in there to choose from. That's vitally important. I can't wait until you get like a DLC update for these games from Bandai where they got the DLC, DLC, the DEI rather, update, right? That you get, it's like 51 gigabytes and you're like, whoa, this must be a whole new game. And it's like 5,000 different hairstyles. That's it. There's no new gameplay. It's just 5,000 new different ways to put your hair, change your hair color, change your hairstyle and color. That's what it is. And also, character gender. We need to make sure that these characters have like a biological sex, a gender identity, and a sexual orientation, and more importantly, their gender expression. Oh my, it's very important because you remember in all these, Phoenix Wright is full of these, where there's guys that look like girls, they act like girls, but they're guys. I think I think 4chan calls them traps. They're traps. They're not even gay, I don't think. I don't even think they're gay. They just do that. I could be wrong. But like, okay, so what? Bridget? Bridget exists? What are you doing, Bandai? You've got everything already. All of this stuff that they're complaining about already exists. It's just not there in every single freaking game. This is the problem, right? When you turn a buffet into a fast food 5 menu item situation, when you get a bun, you get cheese, and whatever meat you want in the middle, then you get pickle, then you get a tomato, then you get a bun again. The only choice you get is the meat in the middle. That's it. And that's what Bandai Namco is doing with this. And we're not even done with it yet. So we'll go down here and it says the differences in culture and values, which concerns itself with how one should approach the differences in regional culture regarding certain actions, images, or words. So you know how the Japanese are traditionally kind of open about how they express their, opinions of things. They're not so much like loud and proud about it out in the street and whatnot, but in the video games, you kind of get an idea of how they view the world. Wow, we're going to stop doing that. We're going to stop with unique outlooks on the world because somebody out there might not like the word used in there, Might not like that. There might be some transphobic dialogue. Ooh, no, a villain said naughty things about the gays. Oh, what are we gonna do? Got to cancel the game now. We'll have to put out Concord 2. Ooh. Nobody wants that. And accessibility, and mainly in regards to making the game usable for disabled players. I struggle to think of a modern game that doesn't have hearing assistance options. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think because the way that the controllers bzz, bzz now, you don't need the hearing part to be like on purpose. And I believe also when you engage the hearing assistance programming, there's like arrows that show up on either side of the screen when a noise happens or something, or the characters are a little more obvious, I guess, when they're sneaking up on you. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not trying to say they make the game easier. I'm just saying that in order to make it a more visually engaging game, whereas it may have relied on sound before, some things in the game are altered in order to make it easier, or rather compatible. That's a better word. Compatible for people who have hearing issues. And I'm not saying completely deaf people. It just could be folks that here have to have much higher level of volume than the game is capable of delivering. It's not always just complete silence there. Sometimes it's difficulty differentiating between far and away sounds. My mother had this. Her ear formed differently, so the second crease inside the ear didn't show up, and so bass music, heavy bass, would just churn her stomach because there was no bounce. It was just like a pure, like a seashell curve right into her eardrum with the bass. So when the bass got really heavy, it just went right down her neck, and made her sick. And that's just, sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to shut off the sound because the headphone sound is too much, or from the television it's too much. I don't know about you, but some of those games that get going with the chainsaw and all the death noises, and you can hear the guts and the bones being, sawed away at by the chainsaw and the blood splatter. Yeah, I'm turning that down. I don't know if I'm turning on the hearing assistance on the game for that, but I am definitely turning the volume down on that part. But I struggle with how to help blind players get in. Again, I am one of those people that's behind. I don't know if there are video games for people who are sight impaired. I don't know. I could be wrong. Please feel free to let me know out there in the comments if there are. I think that's cool if somebody's figured out how to crack that nut. I think that's neat. There's diamond inside that one because that's absolutely untapped territory if you can figure out how to do that. But really, what are they aiming to do? I mean, usable for disabled players. So they're not talking about putting a wheelchair in there. They're not, like a wheelchair bound operator like the Rainbow Six characters. They're not talking about having you remember the Flash character that had the walking assistance poles there, and they moved very, very fast. And the Spider-Man that likewise had those walking poles. I believe they're canes. That I just think they have a different name. That's why I'm using walking pole, because I think cane is the wrong word to use, and walking pole is a little easier than walking staff because you got a different image in your head. But I'm talking about the metal pipe that has the grip, the hand grip on it, and then it comes up here and has a cup that comes over your forearm, or perhaps your upper arm if you're working a little differently with it straight out. I'm not sure again, but that Flash character had those and was moving at like speed for speed using them. So this is not what that's talking about, though. This is purely how to help people who ordinarily would not be able to play a Bandai Namco game due to whatever sensory issues may make that difficult. That's a bridge they want to cross. Not a bad idea. I don't think that's necessarily part of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think that's just market expansion. So I'm not sure why that fell in there, but whatever. That's something I'm totally fine with seeing them explore because, again, I think it would be neat to be able to play a game in the dark, or play a game that actually worked toward the advantage of not being able to see and, in fact, asked you to work very hard with your ears to get around. I'm not saying like a blind person simulator, but maybe a video game that challenged you to be a blind assassin. That would be a little interesting. And maybe you're not totally blind. Maybe you're just seeing impaired, meaning everything's a little blurry. You can only see shadows. Again, blindness isn't like you're blind now and it's totally dark. There's a wide range of it, just like with hearing damage and with also biological from birth hearing difficulties. And so that's what we're looking at here is Bandai Namco has gone down the drain. And you might be wondering, who cares? It's just a bunch of anime and a couple of video games that'll buy it. But no, you got to understand, Bandai Namco is an enormous monster, okay? So you have Bandai Namco Holdings USA, Bandai Namco Europe, Bandai Namco Asia, Bandai Namco China, Bandai Namco UK. You have the Bandai Namco Entertainment Incorporated, Bandai Namco Studios, Bandai Namco Online, D3 Publisher Inc., BB Studio Co., Bandai Namco Network Services, Bandai Namco Sevens, Bandai Namco Nexus, Bandai Namco Aces, Bandai Namco Research, okay, why weren't they brought in on this, by the way? That seems a bit, why'd you go to NewZoo? You had your own built-in research group. What is this? Anyway, Bandai Namco Shimane Susanu. I'm sorry. I know that that's some type of deity, and I'm very sorry. I'm not trying to mispronounce that on purpose. And Magic Inc. And again, overseas, Europe, America, Reflector Entertainment, Bandai Namco Mobile, Bandai Studios Singapore. Okay, now you get Japan. These are toys and hobbies still. We're not even into anything else important about this, right? So this is Sunstar Stationery, Hart Corporation, Plex, Bandai Namco Craft, Prize Marketing, Namco Nue. Again, overseas. You know, this is the intellectual property production unit now. So you've got Bandai Namco Filmworks, Bandai Namco Music Live, SO2SU Co. Sotusu, I'm not sure. Planning of production animation programs. Okay. Bandai Namco Pictures, Actas, 8-Bit Inc., Bandai Namco Base, Evolving Gundam, right? Sunrise, of course, is owned by, in Shanghai. Sunrise, of course, is owned by Bandai. We know that. And in Japan, they have amusement parks that they're in charge of, okay? So this is Bandai Namco Amusement. Pleasure Cast, Hanayashiki, sorry. Hanayashiki. I'm sorry. I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to get this right. Bandai Namco Technica, Bandai Namco Amusement Lab, Bandai Namco Amusement America in Europe, and Bandai Namco Enterprises. You have affiliated businesses, okay? So these are all the businesses that they work with here. You have Bandai Namco Will, Bandai Namco Business Arc, their logistics companies. They have 2 logistic companies that deal with freight and overseas product manufacturing support. And again, like, you have to understand, this is not just going to be video games getting new hairstyles. This is going to be a gigantic shift in what Bandai does across the board. This woman is not in charge of one. This is quality assurance for the Bandai Namco brand. That's the entertainment, amusement, IP production, and affiliated businesses. That's all of them, okay? I just listed them all off to you in annoying phone book style, okay? And that's everybody that's going to get these orders now to shift and change and embrace what has burned the West down. And they already had everything. What are they talking about? The most annoying thing was her excuse. There was a person that, I'm sorry, I'm so angry, I'm choking on it. There was a person that said there were no black hairstyles in this particular video game. So Miura decided, okay, I'm going to go make sure that the entire company changes this. Every last facet of Bandai Namco embraces these changes that, by the way, have next to nothing to do with hair, despite it being the number one pillar, okay? Can you believe that, by the way? You're sitting at a meeting, a training meeting, right? An announcement of a new way of thinking, right? This big old, got to be there, boss has a new thing to tell us, we're going to do this great thing, reach out to the West, be awesome. So you're there with your buddies, you're taking your time off, it's cutting into your lunch hour a little bit, so you're a little peeved. And then this lady says, hair is going to be a pillar of where our focus is going forward. You imagine? You're a multi-million dollar, you work for a multi-million dollar corporation, billion-dollar corporation at this point, multi-billion dollar corporation, and hair is where your boss says you need to be focused. Imagine that. Can you imagine that? My favorite part is how this is obviously going to backfire and be a massive overcorrection, and it'll open the door for Sweet Baby Inc. to go international. They'll go over there and start stinking up all their stuff, and they won't need the West anymore. They'll just reverse poison us again. See, this is what's happened, is that Japan presented itself as the alternative, and that can exist. There can be, see, the thing about diversity is that it's the least diverse thing ever. When you hear from these corporations that they want to embrace diversity, they mean they just want to put people, one skin color in. They want to put more gay people in, and that's it. The end. There's your diversity. It's like we see all these pictures of, oh, it's so diverse, this new diverse cast. Wakanda is so diverse. It's because it's not white, right? And then what's going to happen is in Japan is it's going to be, well, it's better because it's not Japanese. These characters are more entertaining because they're not Japanese. And that's how it'll be spun, just like it was spun here in the US. These characters are more interesting than the counterparts they took the name from because they're black. Like Captain America. Falcon's a perfectly fine character. He's got a huge story to tell, and he has a massive role to play working with Captain America, especially when he was brought around during the height of, I believe it was during the 70s when we had, I could be wrong, I'm not a comic book aficionado, but funny, bonding it to comics, right? But I believe it was the early 70s when we were dealing with the Vietnam unrest, and that's when Falcon showed up. And so his story was about being former military and dealing with these people who hated the military, missing that the military was getting their orders, right? Compelling character, very interesting, had a lot to tell. Black Lightning, similarly, had a very compelling story to tell. That was a very interesting TV series that they put out. But again, these characters are spun toward us, Black Lightning being a character that started out with his own name, Falcon, moving on into the Captain America role. Black Lightning's TV show was canceled. Falcon was given the Captain America title. What does this tell us? This tells us that diversity isn't about diversity, because when you go out there and you start embracing just what these people are talking about, as with the Black Lightning series, they just cancel it. They get rid of it. It's not what they're looking for because it doesn't change something white into something else. It doesn't disrupt something that existed before. And that's the problem. We're going to see this repeated into the Japanese now. You see these people on Twitter, on Instagram, and they will take Deku and they will take Bakugo and they will black code them. And it's like, no, don't do that. Make a new character. Make a new character. If they want to be interested and really do this DEI thing, don't be obsessed with hair. Be obsessed with creating new characters. Be obsessed with creating new stories, not new hairstyles and infuriating ways to insert non-binary and asexual and all these different nonsensical things that have nothing to do with the gameplay or really what you're going to take away from the game. And that's the problem, is that you've got people that want to shift away from playing the game to just seeing themselves represented on screen. And that's what this person was talking about. Representation, and you're being discriminated against if you're not shown this way. No, that's not the case at all. Like I said, you're going to end up with 6,000 different hairstyles in your mobile game about a guy riding around in a car, or a woman riding around in a car. So you don't even see the character that you had 5,000 hairstyles to choose from. It makes no sense. And the point of this is to make sure that we understand that rather than switching characters around, rather than jamming these square pegs into round holes, we instead create new things. What a novel idea, to just make something new rather than take what exists already and reshape it into something it never was meant to be. It's almost like having new ideas hurts these corporations, and so they bring up this DEI stuff in order to get a chance to rehash all their new ideas, all their old ideas rather, and avoid new ones while looking like they're being so fresh and so inclusive to these new people around the world that just suddenly showed up, by the way. Africa fell from the sky 2 weeks ago, if you don't know. South America rose up from the ocean about 2 months ago. And I don't know, man, Mexico phased into reality. It came out of the mesa down there at the Skinwalker Ranch, just flew over Texas and poof, right down there into the water. These places have been there forever. They have been in video games before, and people from those lands have been there as well. In fact, one of my favorite Gundam themes is from Gundam Build Fighters Try, and that is 6 times the passion of the Meijin. All right, and this is Meijin, the main character, not the main character. He's like a mentor character, and he has like a mariachi band, a very passionate flamenco mariachi band kind of performance when he's playing. Okay, and that's a very popular instrument in Japan right now. But that's right, they're not diverse and inclusive and equity enough, right, guys? That's the problem. We need more of it. 5,000 hairstyles. That'll fix racism forever. You know, when you can just go, I don't know, put weird shaved pigtails on top of Solid Snake, right? You get Snake out there, give him a shaved top, pigtails, and big old pink lips, and an anime girl outfit. Diversity.